Hello everybody, my name is Manues and welcome to another Eternal Brews video series. Today I got a particularly sweet brew for you guys and also a very simplistic one. I got the initial decklist for this deck from pesss. He basically has been camping around the top 15, top 20 of ladder ever since I first recognized his name, and he has been recently playing this gem a bit and was nice enough to share it with me. And yeah, now I changed a couple of minor things and figured I'll share it with everybody, because while the deck is not the most competitive, it is competitive enough to play on ladder without like getting completely smashed, and it's very interesting and fun and different to play than a lot of other decks. So if you're looking for like something either cheap, because the deck is mono blue and therefore pretty cheap outside of the two Magus of the Mist, and also a lot of fun and something like fresh to toy with. So the deck was basically kind of spawned by the changes to Tundra Explorer, but also to the changes to Thunderstrike Dragon and Cobalt Monument. So let's talk about the deck. The deck runs very few units. The units are basically Borderlands Waykeeper, Tundra Explorer, sort of Jotun Hurler, two Magus of the Mist, and Thunderstrike Dragon. pesss only ran 3 Borderlands Waykeeper, which I just found a bit odd. I get you want to like maximize your spell count for Explorer, but still, like, Waykeeper is a pretty good card, and if that's something you want, I think you just want 4 to like have it more reliable. It's a decent threat and also a solid blocker early on, and makes the opponent overextend into stuff like Lightning Storm. The removal of the deck is basically for Permafrost, to some extent unstable form, since it sort of acts as removal to some more problematic or simply oversized units. Like, for example, it's a decent answer to a Sandstorm Titan. You can just turn it into a 5-drop, and usually it will be worse and smaller than the Titan, since Titan has like the stats of a 5 to 6 drop and like an above average 5-drop. So it is sort of a removal, but it's kind of like a catch-all in this deck. I'll get into that card a bit more later. Then we have Lightning Storm as like a sweeper. Fortunately enough, all units in this deck have 3 health or more, so you can comfortably Lightning Storm your own board, even if you have units. And our units basically make the opponent put more on the board, so Lightning Storm catches more. While Jido type decks are at an all-time low, there are still decks like Shimmer Pack, where Lightning Storm hits a ton of stuff and is very important, or even like regular Elysian midrange if they run Scouting Party. And sometimes double Lightning Storm can clear the board, or one Lightning Storm teamed up with like a snowball from a Jotun Hurler can finish off everything. The other removal is 3 Lightning Strike. It is also debatable and very possible that this should even be 4, not sure yet. That is definitely something to consider, especially because I'm not 100% sure how much I like 4 Lightning Storm right now. Maybe it's just better to run like 3 Lightning Storm and 4 Lightning Strike. Storm is especially helpful to clear the pass early on for Tundra Explorer and allow it to attack without getting like blocked and traded with by a bunch of free units lying around like Amber Acolytes and Temple Scribes and stuff. This is like the Death Strike type removal of mono blue. Polymorph, it just answers like all the annoying stuff that we really have to get rid of, and that's too big to handle otherwise, or has abilities so that Permafrost doesn't work. It's a good answer to Titan, it's a good answer to a bunch of units with text that matters, like Mystic Ascendant, Martial Ironthorn, Statuary Maiden, and so on and so forth, like all the annoying units that are more annoying through their abilities rather than their pure threat level in terms of their body and size. And yeah, this is like all we got. and at least like Lightning Storm or Hurler Snowballs clean up the rest of Polymorph. So basically like the free Snowball from a Hurler and a Polymorph are like a feeding time, basically. And yeah, the other removal sort of are the Snowballs from Hurler, which are actually really good. Like there's a bunch of stuff with 1 health early on that this can clean for free. Initiative of the Sands, Oni Ronin, Pyro Knight, Amber Acolyte, Temple Scribe, Desert Marshal, Crownwatch Paladin without Aegis, or just pop his Aegis with a Snowball, and so on and so forth. Like it even finishes off an unenhanced Auric Runehammer or an Umbran Reaper, for example. These Snowballs are very versatile and are great, and their body is pretty decent and also provides a high costed target for unstable form on our side of the board. So if you like double form a Jotun Hurler, we suddenly have a potentially really big threat that can take over the game. Alright, so let's talk a bit more about unstable form. Oh, I think I forgot to mention Permafrost. I mean, the card doesn't need much explanation, it's just like the go-to removal in blue. Is very efficient at answering especially big vanilla bodies. Has a couple of issues though it's particularly bad against Justice, especially Combray, because they have so many silences, making it very unreliable. And Recano has Deep Forge Blade to break it later on, so you have to be aware when it is not 100% reliable and use it with caution. But yeah, it's the most efficient and most universal removal that blue has to offer. Alright, back to unstable form. The card is kind of like an all-rounder in this deck. As I said, it acts as removal. Another removal thing to mention is, for example, shrinking big Warcry units against Recano. Like if they drop a 2-drop with a lot of Warcry triggers on it, you can just unstable form it, and suddenly it's much more manageable. But yeah, there's also the ability to just 1 second, gonna turn it off. There's also the ability to upgrade our own units, like especially Jotun Hurlers, as mentioned, because they're already pretty expensive and have mediocre stats for their cost due to having Fate with the Snowball, so we can easily upgrade them into legit threats. But there's also Magus of the Mist. Playing a Magus of the Mist on 6, when the opponent has no fast spell removal open, we can simply just unstable form the Magus, which means we get to keep the dragon forever, and also the Magus turns into a legitimate 6-drop threat rather than being a 5-power 3/3, which is a really nice interaction and one of the like major uses on our side for unstable form. Other than that, it pops Aegises and all kinds of stuff, basically, and it also matters that it is another spell for Tundra Explorer, and also allows us to upgrade our Tundra Explorers if they are outclassed on the board, for example. I think that covers everything important about unstable form. Let's talk about the other couple cards left in the deck. 1 Backlash, just as like a one-off. We are definitely into spells with Tundra Explorer, and this is like a nice card to have, and there's usually a bunch of good targets in each deck to hit with this. And yeah, 1 basically doesn't hurt. I probably wouldn't want 2, because sometimes they can be pretty lackluster, like against Shimmer Pack there's only a Scouting Party, but then again, hitting a Scouting Party is huge. Yeah, it's just a nice defensive tool that adds to like our flexibility and diversity. Next we have Second Sight. This has a couple of really nice synergies in the deck. First of all, unstable form Echo. You can get a free half of unstable form with it. You can put a spell on top to draw with Tundra Explorer before you attack with Tundra Explorer. You can put back a Jotun Hurler to get another Snowball, or you can, which is the most important one, can put back a Thunderstrike dragon to get a free dragon, which is like the late game plan of the deck basically. Second side Thunderstrike dragon. Churning out a bunch of Thunderstrike dragons beats quite a bunch of decks into submission actually. Like I think I drew like 2 dragons and 1 or 2 second sides against an Obelisk Combre yesterday or so, and just basically started jamming Thunderstrike dragons on 6. I think after like 5 dragons or whatever, he just scooped because he was dying to the flying beatdown. He tried to like silence as many as he could, but it's just too much. Like he had no good attacks and couldn't stop the remaining flying dragons from killing him. That is like very impressive. Dragon is a really powerful card, and now with the extra health, it is much less susceptible to on board threats, because usually it's the biggest thing on the board in terms of health, except for Sandstorm Titan, which has the same stats. It's basically kind of like a flying Sandstorm Titan that costs 2 more, but instead of the endurance we get Echo, which is powerful in a different way. The card is just really impressive and the power punch of the deck basically. And yeah, second side being like kind of card draw to give the deck some more velocity and also enable some of the nice interactions that I meant. And then we have for Wisdom of the Elders for some more legitimate card draw. So between like second side, Wisdom of the Elders, Jotun Hurler, and Thunderstrike Dragon, the deck has a bunch of ways to gain some card advantage. Oh, and of course Tundra Explorer's Trigger as well. Last but not least, we have the power base, 25 power. Pesss only ran 3 monuments. I definitely want to try 4 and think 4 should not be a big deal. In so many like 2 faction decks you often play your banners depleted, and you can easily like squeeze in a depleted monument if you need to. And other than that, there's 3 Seek power and 3 Eilyn's favor. I think Pesss had 4 Seek and 2 favor. I wanted to go with a 3-3 split. While favor is a bit slower, Aegis is some decent value, and I think a split should be fine given how the deck plays out usually. And having as many power cards as spells is nice for Tundra Explorer, which is why there's Seek in a mono faction deck. Not for the thinning, mainly to increase spell count for Tundra Explorer. It might be that the deck is 1 power short and maybe should run a 32nd power, but probably not. Between like second side, Wisdom of the Elders, and Tundra Explorer drawing extra cards, digging deeper into our deck, we should be able to find enough power, and the deck also has a pretty low curve actually outside of these like 9 cards. The rest's all like 1 to 3 cost cards. And the monuments of course, but they are power, so if we are power screwed we can just play them as power, so that's not a problem. Yeah, and monument, just a really nice threat by now as a 4-4. Therefore it's another like nice inbuilt card advantage value type thing that gives the deck some staying power. And yeah, the deck plays in a very fun and weird and different and kind of creative way, using stuff like unstable form to solve problems and stuff. Has been really fun and really interesting, and the deck actually has quite a lot of game and can keep up reasonably well with the metagame. So yeah, as usual I'm gonna hop into some games with the deck to show it in action, show you some of the like fancy creative things that are going on with it. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, to help me grow the channel. And yeah, that's it for the deck. See you in a moment with the first half of the games. Stay tuned.